Domestic violence in Trinidad and Tobago needs to stop. Did you know that as many as 6 women were murdered in domestic violence incidents in Trinidad and Tobago within the first 2 months of 2020? Hi, I am Brittany Williams, and I take a stand against domestic violence. Violence against women may not be a hot, trending topic, but it is still an important one. That is why I have decided to host a show where you get to see real people tell their real story of their personal encounter with domestic violence. Over the course of these interviews, we will be giving multiple women who wish to share their experience a platform, not only to encourage, but to tell you that you are not alone. We see you, we hear you, we care for you.
Hello, my name is Melanie, and I would just like to share a little bit with you about my experience in my abusive relationship. It was a marriage, and also a little bit of advice on how you can go about getting out of your abusive relationship. So first of all, I'd just like to touch a little bit on the different types of abuse. So there is physical abuse, which everybody knows about, and some people only consider abuse. So some people would only say, well, when you're being abused is only when the man is beating you up. This is not so. There's physical, there's verbal, there's mental, there's emotional. Some of them go hand in hand as well. So yes, we all know about the physical, where he's beating you up and you're getting bruised and cut and stuff like that. And sometimes physical may not actually be visual. So some of them may not do it on your face for everybody to see. Some of them may cuff you on your shoulder, on your leg, on your back, or some of them just might slap you in your face where in a few hours it would go away. But all of this is still abuse, and you should not make excuses for it. So like if they do it somewhere where you can hide it, or if somebody sees this, you think you will go, I ran into the door, or I slipped and I fell. I understand that you would want to hide it because you feel ashamed. I know about the shame factor. I went through that as well. But you should not hide it. I remember one of my friends telling me, you need to tell people, you need to let them know that, there are people there who care for you and who will help you, and that you are not putting up with it, and you will tell people every time that he does something to you. And she told me this, and I thought, well, I don't know. I'm feeling kind of ashamed, and also I'm feeling kind of scared, because next thing I go and I tell people and he kills me. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, if you think he's capable of killing you, why would you stay in the relationship? Exactly. Because when you are being abused, there's a whole bunch of emotions going on inside of there. You may look okay on the outside, but inside it's a totally different story. And when you're being abused, the abuser knows how to manipulate you and trap you and scare you and just keep you there and keep you down. And ladies, so like I was going to say, with the verbal abuse as well, they know how to do that too. So they play with your emotions, they play with your mind. And so although, my friend is saying, do this, it's like, oh gosh, I'm not sure if I'm ready to leave the relationship. I still want to try. And if I go and tell people, he will get vexed and it might make things worse. And so it's lots going on inside that people don't understand. So, ladies, all of these things are abuse. And if you are being abused, please acknowledge it, be aware of it, and be strong-minded. When people say, "Oh, you're so strong," it's your mind. Your mind is the most powerful thing you have. Whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve, especially if it's for yourself. So if you know, well, gosh, I need to get out of this relationship, and you put your mind into getting out of that relationship, you can, and you will. Just like if you put your mind into exercising and getting fit, you can, and you will. But you got to do it up here first. So ladies, let us have a strong mind. So now that I touched on the different types of abuse, ladies, I would like you to just acknowledge it and make up your mind to leave. Especially if you've got kids. Don't say that you're staying for the children because they want to leave. They don't want to be in an abusive environment. They don't want to be there. Children, it's traumatizing for a child to see their parents arguing on a normal basis in a normal situation. Far less for a child to see abuse happening in their home, in what is supposed to be their home. It's traumatizing for a child to see their father pushing their mother and hitting their mother, and to hear them cussing up their mother and telling their mother all kind of thing. It's not nice. It's traumatizing for the children, and that in itself is abuse as well. And my advice would be to report. And when I say report, I don't mean to call the police and make a report. I mean physically go into the police station, make a formal report, get your receipt, photocopy your receipt, and hide them. Don't, obviously, because you don't want them to find out. If you're not ready to leave, you still need to do this, even though you're not ready to leave. I know, again, a lot of the emotions that are going to be going on. You love him, you don't want to change his character, you're scared too, because next thing he finds out and he gets upset and he does something to you. But don't. Because first of all, should have never done that in the first place. So, report. And also, please, this is very, very important. If he is abusing your children, same way, emotionally, verbally, physically, mentally, report it, please. Because if you don't, and you go to court, you will not have any evidence. You need evidence. So pictures, if it's physical and you get pictures of bruises and cuts and whatever, or you get a video of them doing it, do it and keep it as evidence. Because like in my situation, unfortunately, I did not report any of the abuse that was for the kids. And because I felt like it would stop. And some of them I didn't even know about until afterwards. So like it used to happen when I wasn't home. And so I never reported anything to the children. And now my lawyer is telling me that because there's no evidence, the judge is going to give him unsupervised access. So it's breaking my heart. So I'm just letting you all know that you need to protect your kids as well. If you see that they are... So please, go and make your reports. You need to protect yourself, you need to protect your children. So make your reports, go in. I cannot emphasize enough. Go into the police station and make a formal report and get your receipt and photocopy it. And take as many pictures as you need to take. But secure yourself. Give it to somebody. Hide it away somewhere where your abuser cannot find it, because you know if he does, that's trouble. If you decide to stay. So yes, report. I would like to talk about the process of getting out of an abusive relationship now. I can't emphasize anymore more than this, how important it is for your mindset, for you to say, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm doing this, and I'm not going back. You have to make up your mind not to go back. It's very, very important, because every time you go back, you enable them. And yes, they will apologize. And they will be nice. They will be lovely for a period of time. But I'm telling you, they will start back the abuse, because it happened to me as well. I went back about 3 times. And yeah, I got real nice behavior for a little while. I got okay behavior for about 2 years. And when I say okay, I mean it wasn't as bad as it was before. I was still getting abused in some way. It just wasn't as often, and it wasn't, it just wasn't as often. But I thought, okay, well, I'm seeing progress and that he is changing, but it was not change. Change is permanent. We have to remember this. Change is permanent. There's no such thing as, oh, he changed and then he went back, so he'll change again. No. There's no such thing as changing and going back and changing. Change is permanent. Stops doing it, he stops doing it for good, forever. He does not hit you ever again. He doesn't cuss you up ever again. He stops putting you down. Change is permanent. So, but unfortunately with these kinds of people, change for them is something that they don't want to do, because they're weak-minded and all they know about is to bully people and to bring people down, because it's what is going on inside of them and it has nothing to do with you. And I would like to stress that, because that is why they make us feel like it's all our fault, because of what is going on inside of them. They don't feel good about themselves. They don't love themselves. So when they do that now, they have to bring their misery and put it onto you, because they can't do it to their friends or their family, or they probably can, right? But I mean, you're there, so they will do it to you. So you will get the brunt of everything. So if they don't love themselves, and if they don't feel good about themselves, and they can't deal, if they're emotionally unstable and they don't know how to deal with conflict, and they can't communicate properly, and all they know how to do is just spew abuse, for these people to change, it will take a lot of work. It's like they'll have to go into rehabilitation or something for them to come out a changed person. So you cannot change them. If they haven't changed for you as yet, they're not going to change. They're not going to change. Once is a mistake. I'll say even twice is okay. Give them a second chance, give them a third chance. Twice, you do it again, okay, I'll give you another chance. Third time, it's a choice. Once, twice, 3 times, out. Don't let them continue doing it to you, because then it's a choice. It's a choice that they're making to be abusive. And they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. So, okay, so let's move on. Let me touch very quickly. Single woman, you're single, you all are not married. Okay, you might be living with him, but you're not married, you have no children. Hello, get out of there for me, please. Get out of there. You do not need to depend on a man. You do not need a man. Okay? What you need to do is be independent, be strong, go out there, get a job, fend for yourself. Do not let a man feel that you have to depend on him, or that you need to depend on him, because that is what enables them. They're like, ha, well, I have her. She can't do without me. She needs me. She cannot fend for herself. She can't go out there and do things without me, and without me she's nothing. I was told that without me you're nothing. You can't do anything. And That's all the psychological and the emotional abuse. Aside psychological more, for them to get in your mind. You're nothing without them. You can't do without them. If you leave them, you know, you're gonna fall and you know, you wouldn't be able to do anything, and you know, you wouldn't be able to move forward without them. Don't let them trick you. It's not true. Right? So, single woman, you're not married, you all have no children. Oh gosh, please, please, please leave. Just go. Get a restraining order if you have to. If you're scared, go and get a restraining order. Go and get a restraining order. I don't know, and beg for police protection or something. But please, 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 please leave. If you have kids, you're single and you have children, it becomes a little more complicated. If you don't have a support system, and this is where I don't know what to do about this, but in Trinidad, we don't have a facility or an organization where women who are being abused can go to and be protected and have a chance to start over again, you know, where they could help you get a job, or if you have no education, help you to get some sort of education that will help you to get a job, and that, you know, will house you for a little while, you and your kids, and help fund you for a little bit. You know, it's not to say that you're going to be sucking off of them or anything, but, you know, we need an organization like that in Trinidad, because there are too many abused women and children, and you know, in this country, and they don't have a support system, and there's nowhere to go. But anyway, so if you don't have a support system, it's going to be really hard, I know, but plan. We are women, we can plan. Save up some money. So whenever he gives you money for whatever, put aside $10 or $20 or however much you can put aside, and open up, if you can open up your own bank account, put it in there, stock it up so that you have rent for like a year, or rent for 6 months and food or something, you know, just so that you can get back on your feet and you can get a job. So please, woman, I'm just begging you to do whatever you can to get out. The kids don't want to be there either. So just leave. And then if you have to bring them up for maintenance, go to the family court in Port of Spain, because that's what they deal with. Do not let anybody tell you to do it in South, please. Go to the family court in Port of Spain, especially if you require supervised visits for the children. Please go to the family court in Port of Spain. Good. Married women with children. Your case is a little more complicated. So one of my friends gave me some advice. And she gave me an experience of one of her friends. And she told me that one of her friends settled out of court with her husband, with his son. Because when the lawyer told me that the judge is going to give him unsupervised access, I literally broke down in her office. And I was like, no, that cannot happen. And she went on to tell me that because I had no proof and because it's been 2 years, they're not really going to take the testimony of the children, blah, 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 blah. So then she went on to tell me, well, what we could do is we could do it in stages. And she suggested that we continue with the supervised visit, because what I was doing was giving him supervised access, where I would meet with him in a restaurant, and he would sit down and he would eat with the kids and whatever. And if afterwards he wanted to take them to fun station, he would. I used to meet him at the mall, but those experiences weren't good, and so I stopped the mall thing. But because it's COVID now and whatever, and restaurants, well, at this point in time, the restaurants hadn't opened up as yet. But now restaurants are open, we can go back to restaurants. But I did say, well, okay, we'll go to the mall until the restaurants open up, which hasn't happened yet, because still nothing has happened with this agreement. So anyway, so she was telling me, okay, so we'll go ahead with the supervised access for like maybe 3 months. And then after that, the kids can go by him 1 day on the weekend, just for the day from like 9 to 5. He comes and he picks them up and he drops them back. And she said, okay, and you can do that for 3 months. And then if everything goes okay, then after that, he can get the access that he wants, which legally he's in his rights to, where he can have them every other weekend from Friday evening to Sunday evening, and half of the public holidays and half of the school holidays. So I left her office with a very heavy heart. And this was the agreement that we were going to make, right? This is what she was going to put in the letter of compromise, they called it. And I called one of my friends, and she told me about an experience of one of her friends. And she said, listen, whatever you do, because the only other options I had for supervised access was for me to go with my children to his house, which was definitely a no-no, or for him to come here by my mother's house, which was definitely a no-no as well. So she said, listen, Melanie, what you can do is, in the agreement, you can say, okay, that you don't mind them staying one day, just for the day from 9 to 5, but she said, whatever you do, do not agree to the children overnighting or spending any extended periods of time with the children, because if you agree to it, and this is what happened to her friend, she said, my friend agreed to it, and then when the child went by the father, it went okay for a little while, but then afterwards the father started acting up, and now it's only one child she had, and now the child is being traumatized and has psychological problems because the father is doing all kind of stuff to the child. And when she took him back to court, the judge did not change the order, because the judge said that's what she agreed to, so she has to stick to it. So she said, whatever you do, do not agree to your children spending overnight. If you are not comfortable with it, you do not have to agree to it. She said, if you have to go to trial and let the judge make that decision, let the judge make that decision. But you fight for your children, because you alone know what you and your children went through. Nobody else knows. And it's true. Nobody else knows. And I told my lawyer that. I said, let me tell you something. If you were living in that house with the children, if you were living in that house with us, you would not be sitting down there telling me that I have to let him see my children unsupervised. And she understood where I was coming from, but she also told me, look, you don't know the law, I know the law, and I'm telling you that this is what is going to happen, because you don't have evidence. So, ladies, we have to protect ourselves, we have to protect our children. Protect your mind. And yes, just go with God. Pray, pray, pray. That's what I did. That's what got me through a lot of it. Pray, lots of prayer, and trust. I just kept praying and trusting God, and He protected me and He got me through everything. And even in the process now, it's frustrating. It's long overdue. I'm just trusting God's timing is perfect. I know He's in control, and I know things will work out in the end. So for those of you who cannot afford a lawyer, before you go to legal aid, from personal experience, because I applied to legal aid, you will not qualify for legal aid unless you are earning less than $3,000 a month, or you have assets in your name that are worth less than $20,000. So if you have no assets, but you have a job where you're earning $3,500 a month, you can't qualify. If you have no job, but you have an asset or assets that are worth over $20,000, you don't qualify for legal aid. So I would just like you to take that into consideration before you go through the whole tedious process of legal aid. So that is also a very informative piece of information. I don't quite understand it, but that is how it is. Apparently, the board will not accept or they will not move forward with your application if you do not meet the requirements. So, and I'm not too sure, but I remember about 10 years ago, you were able to get a divorce without a lawyer. For some strange reason, they have changed that, and like you're not allowed to get a divorce without a lawyer. I don't know, but thank God for my family. They're helping me out, and I really hope this ends soon. Before I go, I would just like to acknowledge God, because for me, I drew strength from Him, and He is the reason that I have gotten this far, and He is the reason that I am still alive. And so, whatever religious background you are from, draw your strength from God. Don't stop praying. Keep praying. And like I said, use your common sense. When you pray, use your common sense. Listen and use your common sense. And know that God loves you. He does not want you in an abusive relationship. And not only that, I want you to know that there are people who love you and they don't want you in an abusive relationship. And I also want you to know that you are worthy of love. You are valuable. And there will be someone who will see that and will love you and will treat you properly. So don't walk away thinking that you're nothing and you will never find anybody and you're not good enough for anybody. Don't ever think that, because you are good enough. So go forward and be strong and just conquer. Bye-bye.
If you wish to be a part of this movement, simply contact the number below, which is 739-9300. Anonymous, if you wish to.